Topeka police may soon have a new eye in the sky.
And there's nothing refreshing about the forecast for tomorrow.
It's all hurricanes in Miami and our sharp shots of the week.
This is 13 News at 10 with Northeast Kansas #1 news team.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Navarrete, filling in tonight for Ralph Hipp. Topeka police want to purchase a night vision device for their search helicopter. As 13 Sally Moore reports, police say the new infrared technology would give them several advantages in fighting crime.
Topeka police want to add this forward-looking infrared device called FLIR to their helicopter search capabilities. They say the FLIR is the next high-tech step to combating crime in our area.
It allows us to look at things in the dark. A person walking around at nighttime, you can't see him with your eyes. But with this flare system, you can see him walking around as a brilliant white object. So it allows us to say, pretty much, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that yes, there's somebody there, or no, there's not anybody there.
The FLIR, like infrared devices used in the military, gives police literal night vision. It works by reacting to and picking up heat.
It receives heat. All the objects everywhere send off a different temperature, and this thing senses the differences in temperature.
Police say the device cost about $59,000. Since their department doesn't have the cash to pay for the FLIR, police want to raise the money through community donations. So far, some local groups have told police they'll make pledges for the FLIR, and some say that money would be well spent.
Under the cover of darkness is when the criminal element seems to work the best. The FLIR allows the law enforcement agency to strip away that cover of darkness. It, in effect, makes it a 24-hour daylight day for them.
FLIR officials say there are about 100 law enforcement agencies using the system right now in the United States. Topeka police say if the money comes in, they could have the system in use by the end of the year. Sally Moore, 13 News at 10.
Well, a high-speed chase today that began in Kansas City, Missouri and ended in Topeka has resulted in the apprehension of a 26-year-old Kansas City man. Kansas Turnpike Authority troopers say Dwayne Wright allegedly stole a Ford Bronco from Kansas City, where he then fled from police in an intense manhunt that eventually slowed traffic, that is, on Interstate 70 near McVicker. That's where the vehicle Wright was driving and crashed. Police say Wright then got out of the Bronco and fled on foot before being captured a short while later near the Kansas River. Wright has been charged with numerous offenses, including auto theft and DUI. And just ahead on 13 News at 10, 13's Mike Matson reports on how 3 major Kansas interest groups want to get their rank and file more interested in state government. And later, President Bush readies his veto stamp in the event Congress doesn't see his way on loan guarantees to Israel. Stay with us.
The news is brought to you by over $3.5 billion safe Capital Federal Savings.
Some Kansas special interest groups are getting a head start in the battle for public opinion regarding state taxes and spending. 13 State House reporter Mike Matson explains.
Local spending have been fueled.
Promoting spending cuts in government is a pretty safe position, especially when the other option is new taxes. Because of a tight budget, all levels of government in Kansas this year are cutting spending. While some school boards in Kansas are laying off teachers and university students this fall are sitting in larger classrooms, all as a result of government spending cuts, 3 special interest groups would like state government to hold the line still more on spending. The well-moneyed business lobbies today hit the road, touring the state's media markets, even handing out slick television graphics to help convince Kansas that government spending is the root of the tax crisis. But even veteran lobbyists know all the graphics and Chamber of Commerce breakfasts in the world won't change some things.
I don't think any of us are naive enough to think that all levels of government are not going to need more tax dollars, but putting some acceptable growth figure on it, then we can participate in paying our fair share of that.
So when the inevitable tax talks come in the legislature, Brusky says the business lobby will push for higher sales and income taxes. The Finney administration, in an increasingly service-oriented economy, will stick with their service taxes.
Every year, we buy more and more services and less tangible property. So why continue to rely on a tax scheme that is antiquated. It is not reflective of our economy.
The legislature underestimated the governor in '91. They passed higher sales and income taxes. She vetoed them. Both sides are now gearing up for round 2. Mike Mattson, 13 News at 10.
A legislative hearing committee today reviewed an audit report that said the public employees retirement system allowed former money managers to manipulate investment values. The Joint Committee on KPERS Investment Practices today began its 5th round of hearings into KPERS losses. The audit report showed the investment managers were responsible for telling the retirement system when investments were going bad. The report also showed the practice allowed the investment managers to influence their own compensation. KPERS testimony continues tomorrow. Well, efforts to turn the Z-Bar Ranch in Chase County into a national monument may not be fading after all. A U.S. House subcommittee has approved legislation to allow the government to buy the Flint Hills Ranch. The measure would create the Flint Hills Prairie National Monument. Under the proposal, the government would buy the 11,000-acre ranch, and the National Park Service would then operate it as a public park. The current landowner, a Kansas City bank, is willing to sell the ranch to the government. Earlier, the National Park Service opposed the proposal, saying the ranch was too small. Reports of Fort Riley troops burying live Iraqi soldiers have the Army on the defensive tonight. According to a New York newspaper, during the war, as many as thousands of Iraqis, some still alive, were buried in their trenches by 1st Infantry Division tank plows. Fort Riley is disputing the number buried, saying the number is more likely to be in the hundreds. Army officials are also disputing the report's claims as a cover-up, noting the fort's commanding general addressed the tactics during a May news conference.
I can tell you that probably in the breach, we probably buried upwards of 400 Iraqis with mine plows. 300, 400. All I can tell you is that there were little hands and arms sticking out of the dirt.
Still, many Junction City residents say they'd never heard of the live burials, and they don't believe it.
It's probably some kind of lies. That's not true. These troops are too professional for that kind of doings.
A lot of things are overlooked in a war situation, aren't they? So I do think I could overlook that.
The Army says the tactic was used to reduce the number of American casualties. Just about everything carries a price, and you might even add peace to the list. Today, President Bush went head-to-head with the powerful American Jewish community, pledging to veto $10 billion in loan guarantees for Israel to win a 120-day pause for Middle East peace. Bush made the statement in a quickly arranged news conference after 1,000 American Jewish activists descended on Washington and lobbied Congress to defy him. The lobbyists want Israel to get the money now, but Bush says that would upset delicate diplomatic efforts in next month's scheduled Arab-Israeli peace conference. Well, the release of Western hostages held in Lebanon may soon be a reality. Today, pro-Iranian kidnappers released a photograph of American hostage Terry Anderson, along with a statement saying they are willing to help end the hostage crisis. The optimism that Western captives will soon be freed stems from the moves by Israel after the release of 50 Arab prisoners yesterday. That was in a goodwill gesture aimed at spurring a general hostage swap. And at this time, the shuttle Discovery is flying high. The spaceship, with its huge atmospheric observatory, blasted off earlier today from the Kennedy Space Center with a crew of 5 astronauts. The shuttle Discovery will be flying more than 370 miles above the planet to deploy a satellite that will then track changes in the Earth's protective ozone layer. The satellite will be the first put into orbit for the mission to planet Earth, a long-term study of the environment.
Dave Relihan's weathercast has been approved by the American Meteorological Society.
Well, Dave, when are we going to get a break from this heat?
Sunday on. Before then, we'll see highs in the 90s again. And before that cooler air arrives, or as it approaches, we'll see the chance for rain increase. Our temperature here in Topeka under clear skies at the present time, 80 degrees. The humidity stands at 62%. The barometer 29.94 and on the rise. The winds are out of the south at 8 miles per hour. Clear skies cover northeastern Kansas, and there was a quarter moon out there tonight with temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s after another hot one today. No record set in Kansas, quite a few in the southeastern United States, though. We went to 95 for a high. Concordia, the state's hot spot, at 97. Slightly cooler temperatures over the southeast corner and also in the northwest corner, where clouds kept temperatures down. 87, one of the cooler readings in Kansas this afternoon at Goodland, and they were down to 64 degrees. Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms have been rolling across western Kansas. They're moving generally to the northeast. The storms in southwestern and also in eastern Nebraska have been severe at times around North Platte and northwest of Omaha. 4 tornadoes were reported across Iowa today. Most of that activity that produced the severe weather had already crossed Illinois and parts of Wisconsin, where heavy thunderstorms continue this evening. Elsewhere, temperatures in the 70s and 80s under mostly clear skies. And the cause for the thunderstorms, that frontal system that brought us the rain earlier this week, it's still hanging around the Central Plains, and it looks like the showers and thunderstorms will continue to our west and north tonight, gradually weakening. We'll wait for this cool front to make its way all the way across the Rockies and into the plains before any cooler weather arrives. That, combined with the remnants of this low-pressure system, will provide a chance for showers and thunderstorms tomorrow just about anywhere across Kansas. A little bit further east into central Kansas, I think along the Missouri border, it will remain dry, but look for a chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. The best chance just to the north and west, back across Nebraska and into the Dakotas. That cooler weather making its way into the northwest, though, as high as there will be in the 60s and 70s tomorrow, while we set up with the 80s and 90s once again, getting above the 90-degree mark with no problem. And for Saturday, a trough of low pressure helping fire off thunderstorms. That cooler weather making, well, you may even be able to pull it into the Dakotas as the cool air will continue to sag to the south and east. It looks like that will be passing into and through the area over the weekend as the jet stream finally is going to bring a significant area of low pressure into the northern plains. This northwest wind will help push that front through the area. Meanwhile, high pressure in the southeast will continue to pump moisture into the central plains, thereby giving us a chance for showers and thunderstorms right into Sunday. Our high in Topeka this afternoon was 95. This morning's low was 73, and tonight will be close to that again under clear skies with a low dropping to 72. We'll end the week partly cloudy with a chance for thunderstorms mainly to the west of Topeka, around Manhattan, Clay Center, and Salina. Tomorrow we'll see a high at 93, and the chance for rain is better on Saturday, especially Saturday night. After a low of 70, we'll see a high of 91. And the outlook calls for rain early on Sunday, followed by clearing skies and cooler temperatures with highs cooling from the 80s into the 70s through Tuesday. There's your relief.
A little bit of a pause there, but
yeah, for effect.
is that for emphasis or something?
Yeah, for effect,
All
I
right.
suppose, but that's where your cooler weather arrives.
Okay, thanks. Sounds good, Dave. Thank you. And now for our wrap-up of news from around the country. The embattled B-2 stealth bomber program went into a political and technical spin today. Air Force officials say the B-2 has not performed as well as expected in recent tests of its ability to elude enemy radar. This comes as the Air Force prepares for the battle to preserve funding for the bomber in the midst of defense spending cuts. Frustrated Democrats today accused Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas of evading their questions. Thomas continued to turn aside questions about his views on abortion. He eventually told the panel he didn't think his views on the subject were relevant. Senator Joseph Biden then replied that that was the most inartful dodge he had ever heard. A survivor of a fire in a North Carolina chicken frying plant says workers had never had any fire drills, and they had not known escape doors were locked. Loretta Goodwin was able to escape the September 3rd fire. 25 others, however, perished in the flames. Several survivors testified at a congressional hearing today. Committee members voiced outrage at the plant's lack of safeguards. North Carolina Governor Jim Martin admits the state's safety enforcement was disgracefully deficient. And still to come on 13 News at 10, Greg Sharp will have this week's edition of Sharp Shots. And later, the Topeka Rescue Mission celebrates the completion of its brand new building. Stay with us. Well, we're back now, and Dave has our weather outlook and our time, I
Certainly
see.
do. The old Seth Thomas says it's time to go, and we'll give you a forecast for tomorrow. We'll see highs back in the mid-90s.
Well, thanks, Dave. And
You're
finally
welcome.
tonight, would you get rid of that thing?
It's my watch.
The Reverend Barry Feeker and other Topeka Rescue Mission officials are celebrating the opening of their new facility. Tonight at the Holodome, Feeker joined other Rescue Mission supporters in a victory banquet. Feeker says he appreciates all the support the Rescue Mission has garnered.
400 people that have come, and it's just a tremendous experience to know that we're on the other end of the building campaign, and that we haven't raised all the funds, but we're almost done, and we have a brand new mission for the homeless here in town. It's a tremendous experience.
Feeker says the Rescue Mission needs to raise another $50,000 to finish paying for the new building. In all, the new building cost $1.8 million. An official dedication and open house are scheduled for Saturday at the Rescue Mission. And that wraps up our local report for this half hour. Thanks for being with us. For Dave and Greg and all of us at 13 News, have a good night.